Hello, everyone. This is Karthik here. Welcome to this blogging webinar. I'm hoping that some of you are joining as we speak, so we'll just give it a few moments. But for those of you who joined, thanks a lot and welcome to the webinar. So basically, we'll be doing this for 1 hour and we'll be going through all the basic things on how to get started with blogging, basically sharing some of my experiences being a blogger for the last 15 years and how I do things so that you can learn from it. But the objective is to you or to help you to get started with blogging. So I hope that is okay. But at any point of time, if you have any questions, feel free to let me know through the Q&A box we have here. So feel free to type in your questions, whatever you have in your mind. So we'll just give it a few more moments before others join in. So I see that Manoj, are you here? Do you want to do an intro if you'd like? No worries if you don't want to. Cool. I just want to know, as in, like, what do you do? What's your
Yeah, hi sir. This is Manoj from
Yes.
Tamil Nadu, Erode, college student, pursuing my maths. I'm interested in blogging.
How many years to complete college?
I'm studying second year now.
Second year. Okay, great. And have you started blogging, or are you thinking of starting blogging? Where do you stand?
Just started to learn blogging.
Okay,
in this lockdown time.
Cool. Great. Cool. Thanks, Manoj. Vipin, do you want to go ahead and give an intro if you'd like? As in, what do you do? Where are you from? And what is your objective? It's completely okay if you don't want to do it. Okay, cool. Great. So we'll just get started. Some of these, basically all the content will be shared on social media, on YouTube, and also will be streaming. So I have a lot of questions from folks on email that I would like to address as well. But I was saying, this is basically talk about all the stuff about blogging, how to get started, my experience, and how can you get started with blogging. A lot of you, I think, are my subscribers on YouTube, so it's good to meet you and learn about you in person. So Vipin is saying, I presently work as a DM executive, started doing blogging. Great, awesome. Cool. So let me just get started and share my screen here. So I'll take you through this presentation, so to speak. It's a very casual thing, so feel free to pause me, raise your hand if you have any questions at any point of time. So just to give you an idea, my name is Karthik, and I started blogging almost 12 years back in like 2007. In that time, when I started blogging just because I could, and I was like really interested in blogging, just because it was a nice tool available. Blogging tools were like very new. There was blogger.com, wordpress.com. It was free to get started with blogging, and I just started just because I could, and I had a lot of free time with me. I didn't know about whether it was monetizable, whether you can actually earn a living from it and all that stuff. It was just a hobby sort of thing. And I like this idea of sharing whatever I knew or whatever I learned onto like a journal or like a diary sort of thing, right? Everyone writes diaries, and I was like writing on the blog instead of diary. So I would write all the crazy things about what I wore that day, where did I shop from, which movie I saw, why I thought that movie was a flop or a hit, and it's just random things, right? Like nobody really cared about it at all. But I was just writing, even if nobody was listening or nobody was actually reading it, except of course my family and friends who was kind of forced to read my blog, so to speak. Some of them thought that I was crazy because blogs nobody knew about. Now everybody knows about blogging, but that time it was like, what is this guy doing? Some nerdy thing, some geeky thing that he's doing, which is just killing time, they thought. But I think I was fortunate that I didn't lose track of blogging, as in just because nobody was reading my blog, I didn't stop it. I just kept doing it. And that was, I think, the biggest luck, in my opinion, because what happened was, after a couple of years, I would say even after second year, I noticed that I started to get a lot of comments for some articles that I had written. So at that point of time, I was living in Kochi, in Chennai, and there was a lot of moving back, traveling, and all that. So I started writing about like reviews on hotels and like movies. iPhone was actually just being launched in India, and I wrote a article about why iPhone in India will be a big flop because the Indian market is different and all that. Just out of my brain, like nothing. I didn't have any authority, or I was actually not into tech scene or anything like that. Just because I could say I had an opinion or I had something to say, I just wrote it on my blog. So I started noticing that some folks started commenting on some of my blogs, like after 1 year or so. And I was thinking, who are these people? And I couldn't figure out where they are coming from. So I did a lot of research, and turned out that some of them were actually coming in from Google. So some of the articles that I wrote were now showing up on the first or second page of Google and Yahoo. Like, should I buy an iPhone? That one particular article I wrote about why iPhone would be a flop in India started showing up on the first page of Google, and that was like a sweet surprise for me. I didn't do anything at all, no SEO, nothing. It just happened after 1 year. Maybe because nobody was blogging at that point of time, or because I was just lucky. I don't know. And that's when I thought, oh, this is nice. I can actually start writing my random thoughts that otherwise nobody would have cared about, and get opinion and comments from people sitting halfway around the globe. Because some of these comments were coming from people like in Delhi, some NRIs in USA, and Middle East and things like that. And I was like, wow, this is a nice way to, powerful tool, right? I mean, I could be going to sleep, I have these random thoughts in my head, nobody would know about it. But now, since I'm blogging, somebody sitting in USA or California can actually comment on it and tell, hey, Money, what you said is right, or could say that, what you said is wrong, or that's a nice way to share a lot of ideas. So that was a kicker for me, and that's how I started to, or continue to do blogging. And then I kept going. I wrote about everything that I could possibly think of. Again, movies, a lot of citizen blogging, and a lot of like, I would click pictures of places that would have like dirt and all those things on the street, like on the Chennai trains and things like that. And I was like writing about them, saying that, hey, we should all be responsible. I found this dirt, or this place was very filthy, and a lot of things. A lot of people are throwing trash here and things like that. So like I was being a very responsible citizen and all that. I thought I'll just make this world a better place through my blog and all at that point of time. But actually, what worked was that a lot of people were finding value in some of the articles, not the citizen blogging stuff, but also other stuff like, should I buy an iPhone? Why, what is the kind of price that I should expect if I buy an iPhone in India, versus is it better if I buy it from the US, and things like that. And these were basically part of my research. And after I researched and after I found the good thing or bad things about it, I would write on the blog. So a lot of people found this as like a time saver, because they can save up the research. Instead of that, they can go to my blog and see that I've already done the research. And that's how things started to kind of get ahead. Because now what happened was that I had put in AdSense ads. I don't know how many of you know about it, but Google AdSense is a product where you can put ads on your blog, and if people click on it, you can get certain amount or money from it. So I noticed that some people were clicking on the ads, and I was starting to get money, like $5, $15 per day. And I was like, wow, this is great start. So if like $10 I'm making per day, that is almost close to $300, $400 per month. And I thought like, this is a great idea, because at that point of time, it was nice pocket money for me, like without doing anything. So that's how I started blogging. And ever since that money factor came in, I was hooked to it, and I thought I should make more and more money, and start helping more people, create more relationships. And I kept blogging. So I expanded my topic list from movies and citizen blogging and all these little bit of technology to everything I could think of, like everything I was passionate about. Like I went to US in 2009, 10, and at that point of time, I was a lot into personal finance. I don't know how many of you know about it. Like I was very passionate about credit cards and banking and how to save money and things like that, which is something that only in the US is a thing. In India, it's not a big deal. Like nobody tells you how to save money or how to use credit cards. But when you go there, you have to start using credit cards. You have to know the tips and tricks and everything. So I started learning about that, and I started to document it on my blog, obviously. And what happened was that now people started to come in from even more places, like people who are interested in finding out which is the best credit card or which is the best bank to go with, how to save money, even things like blogging also, like how to get started with blogging and all that. And then what happened was, because I was getting into personal finance and travel and these kind of things, I started getting offers from companies. So credit card companies would come to me and say, hey, we have a new product coming out, and if you can review about it on your blog, we will pay you, $500, $1,000 just for writing one article. And then I was like, wow, this is really nice. So that's how blogging scaled for me. And at one point of time, I was making close to $15,000 to $20,000 in a month, just entirely from blogging, just from affiliate marketing and sponsored shares. I'll tell you how that worked out later in the slide, but that's my short journey on how I started blogging and how I started making money. I hope it's inspirational for some of you to get started with blogging, but this is my real story. And of course, I came back from the US in 2017 and ever since I'm working entirely mostly with blogging and marketing, and I'm also helping a few startups with their early stage startups with their marketing and content marketing and all that stuff. But blogging is something that I do passionately. Like this is the thing that I do personally. So that was my journey. So to get started with, for those of you who want to start your own blog, let me tell you that it's a very simple process, right? It's a very, very simple process. All you have to do is three things, essentially, technically speaking, three things. And the most important thing is, number one, a domain name. I know that many of you guys already know about this, but I want to stress this point because a lot of people think that domain name is all about just getting any domain name that's available, or maybe the cheapest domain name. And what happens is you'll find a lot of cheap domain names. Like if you go to websites like GoDaddy, Namecheap, they have a lot of different very, very cheaper options to buy, like for example .info, .net. These kind of domain names are available like for $1, $2 and all that stuff. But what I found is that your domain name is your personal brand, and that is very, very, very important. So don't think of a compromise when you buy your domain name. Think of it as a long-term investment. Like if somebody has to remember you after they come to your website, and that'll happen only through a good, of course, a good content, but also with a good domain name. So imagine your domain name is something like money-karthik-for-you.info. It's very hard for people to remember that, right? Maybe they'll copy paste it, but if I were to go to a party and tell that, hey, I found this amazing blog, this guy is making a lot of money on blogging, you should also start blogging. Oh, by the way, his domain name is, then I go blank because I can't recall the name because it's very hard, right? Money-karthik-info, there's hyphens in between. It's not a .com, it's an info. So a lot of things go missing there. And that is a big compromise. And I see a lot of people, especially from India, make this mistake of buying a very cheap domain name or domain name that's very much compromised, like adding some things to whatever you were searching for. Like if you were trying to get it on your name, like for example, let's say best money tips or something like that, or moneytips.com or something. If you were trying to buy, GoDaddy would say, we don't have that domain, but we have moneytipsforyouindia.com or something like that. And it becomes very long and very difficult to remember. So don't go for those kind of compromises. Even if you have to put in like maybe $5 or $10, invest in a very good domain name. It's just like your address. So if your house is in a very bad neighborhood, then it has that issues, right? As opposed to if you have a good address, or you can tell people that, hey, I'm staying here, come and visit me whenever you want. It's just like that. So a domain name is very, very important. So the takeaway there is that invest in a domain name that is very much brandable, that people will remember, that people can recall easily and tell to someone, refer to someone, and also at the same time, not very expensive or not very cheap, somewhere in between. You don't have to buy for like $200 and all that, but $10 or $5 is good. If you invest that much money, you will get very good domain name. So get very creative about it and find and invest in a very good domain name. Don't go for the free domain names. You can start it out as a experiment, like if you're on blogspot.com or wordpress.com, there are a lot of these something.wordpress.com, something.blogspot.com is available. But again, how many people will remember that name? Even you will sometimes forget it. So don't do that. Try to get a proper rememberable, good domain name. So that's my first and foremost advice. You can buy it from all these different websites like GoDaddy, Namecheap, etc. The good thing is that they do have a lot of discount codes. Like if it is showing up as $7 for domain name, usually you can get it like around $3 because there's usually a discount code you can use when you check out. Just like in Amazon and all, you get these discount codes, just like the same thing. I do have some of these with me. So if you want or if you intend to buy these domain names, let me know on email. My email is at hi@moneykarthik.com, and I can share the coupons with you so that you will get that discount. Now, the second part, or the most important thing that I was talking about, is the hosting part. I know some of you guys are still on Blogger or WordPress and trying to do blogging without any investment. That is fine. We can try it out for some time. But the problem that I've seen is that even I started out as a free blogger, like on blogger.com. I think I had like moneykarthik.blogger.com or something like that. And it went good for like the first few months. But then after fourth month, the problems started to show up. And the problems were that I wasn't allowed to add whatever I wanted to. There are a lot of restrictions on what kind of content you can write on the free platforms. And many of us, when you sign up for this, you don't read the terms and conditions, but actually we are agreeing to it, saying that we don't have any control over the content we post on our blog. So in my case, what happened was that I wrote something about personal finance, but it could be like in a very spamish kind of way. Like I was talking about credit cards or personal loans or something like that. And then I got an email from Google saying that, hey, we found that you are writing about certain topics that is not acceptable on our platform. So we are deleting your blog. So that came as a big shock for me. And that's when I thought, okay, that's when I actually realized that they can actually delete your blog based on something you write or the content you write. So there are a lot of restrictions other than that also. Like you cannot have your own domain name. There is a workaround to do it, but it's not a very good way of doing it. Then I don't know how many of you know about the SEO part, the search engine optimization part, wherein you tweak certain things on the blog so that it becomes visible on Google for whatever search terms you're targeting. You're not allowed to do a lot of those things on the free Blogger or WordPress platform. You can do some things, but not all the things. So if you're going very serious, you become very limited. And of course, the issue of you being not an owner of your blog is always there. Even though you're writing the blog, your property or the blog is actually technically the property of blogger.com or wordpress.com. You don't have any ownership in that. So you have restrictions on monetizing it. You have restrictions on SEO. You have restrictions on what kind of content you produce or publish. And then it becomes a problem. So if you're writing like maybe like a art blog, like sharing your poems or writing an anonymous blog, or you're not really serious about scaling and getting more people or traffic generation or actually making money, then okay, be on Blogger. But if you're really serious about making money through blogging and making it a career option, don't go for the free hosts. Try to invest in a proper self-hosted blog. So what that means is you can, there are different options available. And my suggestion is to go for WordPress. WordPress is a very stable and very robust platform for blogging. And there are a lot of these different WordPress optimized hosts available that you can buy. It usually comes very cheap, like almost $1 or $2 per month. That kind of investment is required, but that's the cheapest you can get. I think that's from Hostinger. But GoDaddy also has like a very cheap offer going on. SiteGround is a good option. And these prices have come down. Like when I was starting blogging, it was close to around like $25, $30 per month. And I've paid like more than $100 per month for my blog because the traffic was going up at some point of time. But now it's come very, very low. There are a lot of discount options available. They're making it easy for newcomers to get started with blogging. So try out these websites. Try out find out which ones work for you. You don't obviously have to start with the biggest or the most expensive one. Start with something very cheap. Hostinger is a good idea. I do have coupon codes for, I believe, Hostinger as well as GoDaddy's and SiteGround as well. So if you want to try out those, let me know and I can share the coupon codes with you. But these are good investments you can make. Now, if you don't want to make, or if you don't want to put in the money there, that's completely okay as well. You can still be on blogger.com and wordpress.com and try different things, like experiment different things to learn. And once you're mature enough and once you see that you have potential to make money, then you switch to these. That's fine as well. Because the other one problem you have to keep in mind is that whenever you get approached by companies or brands to, like, if they want to pay you to write about them, like I was mentioning, I was offered like $500 to write about one credit card. If you want that kind of offers to come in your way, they usually prefer the serious people, and serious people are usually they usually have like a domain name and a hosting and everything. They're never on the free platform. So just keep that in mind. If people need to take you seriously, you need to show that you're serious about it. So you have to have a host. So that's the second most important one. Now, third is obviously your content. A lot of people come to me and ask whether they can get started with blogging with something like a poem kind of blog, or sharing their pictures or their paintings or their random thoughts about what's happening in politics and things like that. And my answer to that is yes, of course. Technically, you can have a blog. It is called a blog. The content is fine. It's opinionated. People might find it interesting, but the problem is there is a problem of marketability, as in, see, in the market today, who are the people who are spending money to get their products noticed? There are a couple of different people, right? So you need to have content that will interest them. Like, for example, when I'm writing about banks and personal finance, all these credit card companies or banks itself, and all these fintech companies, like these loan companies, credit like companies, these companies are interested in my content because they know that I have an audience, and they would like to introduce their products to my audience through my content. So there I have an edge. But if I was writing just poems or some artistry and some pictures and all that stuff, then they know that it's more about me and not my audience. It's like my way of expressing myself, which is fine. So a lot of people start blogging to just express themselves, express their talent and things like that. Even like fun blogs and everything, like where they share jokes and things like that. But I very much suggest that you find out something that is very marketable. Like, for example, you can write about travel, you can write about personal finance, you can write about technology, of course, like mobile phone reviews and things like that. That is, in fact, one of the most popular category where there are a lot of people interested in paying you money. You can also write about hotels, food, fashion, celebrity, like entertainment, gossip, those kind of stuff. So these are different categories available. Try to figure out which are the popular blogs out there already, and if they are popular, that means that there is money behind it, and there is, people are actually reading it. It's scalable. It's not usually about the person who's writing the blog, but more about the audience and what they like. So that is where your content should focus on, and that's how you should choose things when you begin blogging, as in, like, what to write. That's a question. Like, initially when I started my blog, I used to write about random things, right? Like, I used to write about which movie I saw and why I thought it was a flop, even though nobody was listening. But then after a period of time, I built my own audience. So I wrote about blogging a lot. Even on YouTube, I started talking about how to start blogging and other interesting things and everything. And that's how I built my audience, how I built my tribe. And you also can do the same thing. If you start writing about one particular thing and just stick to it for some time, what happens is you will attract the right kind of people who is interested to buy or write your, or sorry, read your content. So invest in that kind of a very focused type of content. And three things that you have to keep in mind is, one, you have to try something that is very close to you and something that you're passionate about. Like, for me, the passion is all about connecting with people, helping them. So when I write about personal finance, it's not about the product I'm talking about. It's more about how I'm able to help. I write about a lot of NRI stuff. So for me, it's interesting to write because I connect with a lot of NRIs, like people from the UK, US, Australia, and everything. I write about my experience of how I was being an NRI and how I moved back to India and things like that. And they find it very interesting. So I'm able to help people, and that's a passionate thing for me. As long as I'm talking to people and helping people with something I know, when I'm sharing my information, that makes me very happy. So you have to find something like that. So, for example, if you're writing about movies, let's say, about movie reviews or something like that, that could be your passion. Like, you watch a lot of movies, you watch a lot of Netflix and things like that, so you have a lot of things to say about it. So a good way to find out this is just ask your friends, like, how do they see you? Like in every group, there will be that one guy who's good in something, right? Like whenever a new movie is coming out, you might call him and ask, hey, is this a good movie to watch or not? And then they will say yes or no. So that is his expertise in that group. So something like that will also be there with you. How do your friends, or what do they ask you for? Like, do they ask you which is the best mobile phone available? That means that they see you as a technical expert kind of a person. Or if they're asking you about movies, that means that they validate your opinion on movies and everything. So find out what that unique thing is about you, that you're passionate about. The good thing is that if you're passionate about something, then even if people are not commenting on your thing, or if you're not actually making money, you still can keep going on. Otherwise, what happens is, if you choose a topic that is not very close to your heart, that is something that you're not very passionate about, like for example, bitcoin. Bitcoin is a very popular thing these days. A lot of people are talking about it. A lot of people are experts at it. But then if you choose that topic just because there is a lot of money available, there are a lot of people talking about it, and it'll become very dry. Like how many times can you keep writing about bitcoin, just by research? Like if you're not actually passionate about it, then what happens is after a period of time, you won't get any comments. And because the first few months of blogging is always dry, you won't get any comments, you won't get the money, you won't get sponsorship deals or anything. So you have to stick to it for some time. So if you're following something that is not passionate about, you will lose the interest, and you will be like, I need to stop this because this is not working out. And this is a mistake a lot of people make. They choose something just because somebody else is writing. They start travel even though, or they write about travel blog even though they're not traveling, or they write about movies even though they're not watching enough movies. And then after a point, they figure out that, hey, even if I'm writing this much, nobody's paying me, no comments are coming, my traffic is not going up. So I better stop this. Oh, blogging is not for me. They make that decision and go, which is not right. So follow something that you're very passionate about, and that'll help you to keep continuing. So continuity is very, very important. Like I mentioned, when I started back in 2007, 2008, I just started writing about things which was random, right? I mean, I didn't bother about who was reading my blog. I wrote it because I could write. That's about it. And the fun thing was that I kept continuing it up until a point of time when I started getting comments, and sponsorship deals and everything. So if I had left it out in the first year or the second year, then I wouldn't be sitting here talking about blogging, right? I would have just been just another guy who just tried blogging and didn't work for. So being very consistent and very continuous with whatever you're doing is also very, very important. And the third thing obviously is the market. So like I mentioned, you need to figure out what market you're addressing, right? If it is travel, there are a lot of travel bloggers out there, a lot of YouTube stuff happening. So you need to find out a market for yourself. Like for example, don't make it broad. Find something very specific. In marketing terms, it's called a niche. A niche means something that's very, very small but very specific. Like for example, in travel itself, there are a lot of things that you can do. It needn't be very broad, like all India travel. It could be something like, if you're in your own place, like for example, if you're in Tamil Nadu or Mizoram or Madhya Pradesh, travel in that area. Because nobody would have done that previously. I mean, everybody goes to Bombay, Bangalore, Delhi, and all those touristy places, but nobody talks about the small city in your, or the small village in your, which is very close to your place, right? So go to those places, travel. So that means you are creating a new market for yourself, which is small but unique, because nobody else is writing about it. As opposed to, if you just pursue travel as a very broad thing and go to Taj Mahal or all the most common and popular places, then you're just being one another guy out of 1000s. So you don't want to be that. Whatever little you're doing, make sure that you are adding some value to it and making it unique. So find that market. So if it is, let's say for example, technology reviews, that kind of blog you want to start, then find out something very specific inside it. Like don't talk about mobile phones, maybe, because everybody is talking about mobile phones. So start talking about maybe drones, or maybe within mobile phones, something unique, like go for only Android phones, or only iOS, or only one particular brand, or maybe just compare prices alone. So all these creative things you can come up with that'll make you unique, you have to find out. And that's key, because today's market is very much crowded. Today, if you go to Google and search for XYZ product review, like iPhone 12 review or whatever company brand name plus review, you will find a lot of blogs talking about the most obvious and the most popular things. So you don't want to be just another guy talking about the most obvious things just because a lot of people are searching for it. Instead, if you go one step or two steps deeper and find out something unique for yourself, then that becomes a good thing for you. One also other thing you have to consider here is the language. Like not everyone is comfortable with English, or not everyone is comfortable with Hindi. So there are a lot of people looking for Tamil content or Malayalam content or Konkani content or whatever content you're passionate about. Start writing about it. You never know. In the next 2 or 3 years, it might become a big deal. Whenever I talk to folks from like Google and other search engines, they always put focus on regional content because they know that India is all about regional content. It's not about English. It's not about just Hindi. Down south, you have this, different languages available. So they want people to come up with new content so that they can serve those kind of content on Google search when people are searching for it. And that is a big requirement. But everybody thinks that you have to write in English or you have to write in Hindi. No, that's not the case. So make sure that you embrace whatever is closer to your heart, closer to your where you live, something that's very local, but at the same time unique. And that's how you create the market that you need. And number four, obviously, is the audience. Like I mentioned initially, audience is something you create as you go. Like when I started blogging, I didn't have a clue as to what I'm going to be writing about. Should I write about iPhones? Should I write about personal finance or movies? Because I'm someone who's interested in many of these things and I have opinions about it, but that doesn't mean that everybody wants to hear about everything. But what I tried is I tried experimenting. I read like one particular time I was writing only about mobile phones. Another couple of months I was writing only about personal finance. Another couple of months I was writing only about movies. And what happened is that over a period of time, what happened? A lot of people from different niches like these or different categories like this found it interesting, and they came together and they realized me or recall my name. Oh, this guy was writing about blogging, or this guy was writing about personal finance, this guy was writing about travel, and I have these different audiences now. What you should probably be doing is find out what it is that you are passionate about, whatever that content or that topic is. So if it is movies, then movies. If it is fashion, then fashion. If it is travel, then travel. And just stick to it and write. And after a period of time, what happens? It will take a snowball effect. First 3 months, maybe one guy will come. After next 3 months, another 4 or 5 people will come and comment. They'll subscribe. They will connect with you on Facebook. They'll follow you on Instagram, and they'll keep noticing you. Every time they see a new content from you coming up on their feed, they will kind of like you more. So you keep consistent, like I mentioned earlier, and keep producing content. Over a period of time, they'll tell about you to their friends, and they'll recommend you. They'll read your stuff. They'll share your stuff on Facebook or WhatsApp, and that's how you create the audience. So now a lot of people know me as this guy who's doing blogging, and he has his YouTube videos and all that stuff. That's how I'm known. So similarly, you can also do it by creating your audience, and it's just about two things in audience. One is you have to have absolute clarity on who your target audience is. I hate that term because it says like target means something like you're going to shoot at somebody or something. But unfortunately, that's the only term we have today. Basically, what it means is that who is it that you're targeting, right? A lot of time when I talk to people, you want to start a blog, who are you targeting? They say everybody in India, or every young people in Tamil Nadu, or something like that. What actually happens is it's very broad, right? You can't go with that kind of a target audience in today's market. You have to have very specific niche. Like in my audience, I could say is the young crowd who is a college goer or a 9 to 5 job seeker sitting in a cubicle who wants to earn money on the side because he has a 9 to 5 job and only so much he's earning, and he wants to build some properties online, some websites online, so that he can get money from it on the side. That could be my target audience. It could be college goers like Manoj, right? Somebody who is willing to take up blogging as a career when he starts up, because there's a lot of lack of job opportunities out there and things like that. So these are my target audiences. Similarly, you have to find out a very clear idea about who is your target audience. Unless you have that, what happens is when you write new content or when you write new blog, you will be always confused. You'll be like, will they like this, or who is going to read this? All these questions will come to your mind. But every time okay, when I write my next blog, I'll have Manoj in my mind, because he's a college goer trying to get into blogging. So I'll have that clarity, and it helps to make my content very much customized and very much useful for my audience. So that target audience has to be there. The next and very, very, very important thing is relationships, right? It's not, don't think about people as today. A lot of people, even bloggers, when I talk to them, they say, oh, I have like, 25,000 people in readership, these many fans on Facebook, these many followers on Instagram. And my thing is that, none of these numbers actually matters, because you have to have a relationship built with these people. You have to know, like when I'm, so Manoj is, I know in my brain now that Manoj is a college goer. He's in Tamil Nadu. I know Vipin is also, he's an executive. So I have these things in my mind, and I have to keep these relationships going on. So I have to connect with you on Facebook, and it's not about the numbers to boast about. It's more about how many people you're being useful to. So my always, the thing in my mind is, whenever I write something, whenever I put up a new video on YouTube, how is it going to help someone, or whether it's going to help someone? If it is not, then I would rather not write about it, right? So there are a lot of articles that I wrote, and I, just before sending the or hitting the publish button, I was like, does this really help someone? And I had this thought coming in, maybe it's not going to help someone because I'm just writing it for my own satisfaction. And I just, stop doing it. I wouldn't publish it. Such and such instances have been there a lot of times. So you have to build those relationships. It's all about helping people and adding value to their lives, like telling them something they don't know. Many a times what happens is we all think that, oh, this particular thing, like which are the best places to travel in Chennai, or which are the best places to travel in Pune or Mumbai. Oh, everybody knows about it because it's there on Google, TripAdvisor or some other website, which is a big website, already has content on it. Why should I write? That's how people think. But the reality is that people need more and more interesting insights about these topics. Maybe something that TripAdvisor or somebody else like a big website doesn't know, because you are a local from that area. So when you write that out, people will appreciate that and people will find it useful. It's actually making a difference in their life, that they're reading your stuff and they're actually liking it. So building those relationships are very, very key to your growth. So that's what I had, the 4 points. Now, the fifth point, which everybody loves to talk about, is the monetization part. Monetization is nothing about, but how to make money from your blog. What are the methods to do it? Now, this is a very, very big topic, but I'll just touch upon the main points, and we'll do another webinar where we'll go in depth into what are the monetization things and what are the do's and don'ts, which ones should you go for, and things like that. But just to give you an idea, broadly speaking, of course, there are different options available, but my experience, these are the three different options whereby you can start getting money from your blog. Number one is AdSense, which is a product from Google, whereby you put ads on your website next to your content. You might see it on my blog, you might see it on different other blogs, where when you read a content, in between the lines, you'll find like a image ad or a text ad. Basically, what it does is, whenever people watch or read your content, this ad will actually show something relevant to the content. So, like for example, if you're writing a blog on movies, then obviously it might show an ad from Book My Show or some other website which is very relevant to that or related to that particular content. And the likability of that person clicking on that ad is more because it's a very relevant ad. And the idea is that they should click on it, and then you will get money for somebody clicking on the ad. Now, a lot of people ask me, especially beginners, saying that, hey, why don't we put the ad and we itself go and click, or we ask our friends and family to go and click so that we get money. Don't do that, because Google can detect it and they'll bar you, or they'll basically ban you from their program. But the idea is to show ads between your content so that you increase the chances of people or readers clicking on the blog, and that way you can make money. Now, how much you can earn from AdSense is a very interesting question. To be honest with you, the amount of payout that's coming out from AdSense has come lower in the last couple of years. When I started, it was even paying like close to $200 to $300 per day on certain categories, not every category, some categories like personal finance, some legal stuffs, and some financial related topics. There was very good income possible from AdSense. But now it has come down because, think about it like this. There are a lot of brands and companies available with Google who are willing to pay Google the money to show their ads. That's how this works. And then if I was in a company, like for example, if I had a credit card, I will tell to Google that, hey, I have $10,000 as my budget for this month. show my ads on all blogs that talk about credit cards or something about personal finance. And Google will tell them that, okay, we can do that. We'll do it through AdSense, and your ads will be shown on such and such different websites who talk about credit card and personal finance. And all you have to do is pays the money when somebody clicks on it, right? So this is what happens. And as long as there are people like me who's willing to put that money into AdSense, there is money. But now what happened with AdSense is that over the last couple of months, people are become very ad blind, they say, which means that people don't like to see ads, and they have on Chrome all these ad blocker extensions and things like that. Even if they see the ad, people don't click on it. Sometimes the ad is very irrelevant. So there are these issues that factor in. And of course, the other biggest factor is there are a lot of bloggers these days. Like, back when I started, it wasn't that much. So now there are a lot of websites which spread out or take up all that income. So if, when somebody is saying I have $10,000 to invest, there is 10,000 blogs instead of 100 blogs today. So what happens is the money gets spread or split out between these 10,000 blocks. And so each of them only gets so much. So the payout with AdSense is very low these days. It comes to around 500 to 1,000 for a normal category. But if that also is a very good amount for like a college goer or, just to earn something on the side. So it is the easiest way to start making money, because all you have to do is get approved with Google. There are a lot of things you have to do on your website. Like, for example, you should not be copy pasting a lot of content. You have to write about things that are within the approved content or topic list with Google. You cannot write about certain niches or certain categories which are, frowned upon or looked down upon by Google. So there are these rules you have to follow. There are a lot of things you have to learn before actually applying for AdSense. And once you do, what happens is they'll approve your account. They'll look at your website. They'll check whether it is a good website, whether you built it only for making AdSense money, or whether you have an actual audience and things like that. So it'll take some time for them to approve your blog. And once you approve, then the ads will start showing up on the blog, and that's how you start making money. So it has become a very tough thing today, as in, like, there are a lot of approval processes. The time or the waiting period to get approved from Google is long than it was before. And there are these issues that a lot of people are worried about. But it is still the easiest way to get started. All you have to do is just plug in a particular code, a JavaScript code, into your blog, and then the ads will start showing up on its own. So you don't have to worry about which ad to show and all that. You just have to write more content and hope that people click on it. You should not say anyone to click on your ad, or you should not encourage anyone to click on your ad. You should not share it with your friends and family, because if you say that, Google will find it for sure. And then if they see those invalid clicks come in, invalid clicks means if they see sudden spike in clicks coming at one point of time, that means that somebody is actually trying to click deliberately and make you money or anything like that, then your account can get disabled. It happened in one case that, I mean, many cases it happens that like competitor goes and click on somebody else's ads, like click 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 click, and Google thinks that this is some sort of a manipulation happening, and they disable the ad. So a lot of people do that deliberately as well, and then you have to appeal to Google to get it released and all that. So there's a whole different chapter about AdSense which we can dive into maybe another session. But AdSense is your easiest way to get started to get monetization on your blog. Now, the second thing that actually worked for me really well is affiliate income. I don't know how many of you know about it, but basically affiliate means you sell products that are not yours, but somebody else's, but you sell them through your blog. Like, for example, Amazon has an affiliate program. And what happens is if you share some affiliate or products from Amazon on your blog, like, for example, let's say you have a technology blog where you write about mobile phone reviews. And in those reviews, if you promote one particular product from Amazon, and if people click on that ad and buy from Amazon, you would get X percentage of that sales. It could be 5%, 10%. It varies, but you will get X percentage of the sales. So this is a very interesting way of working. The only problem is that you have to have an active audience. You have to have some sort of very good content on your website that is having a lot of traffic from Google and other places, so that people who are looking for, let's say, for example, best mobile phones to buy under 25,000 rupees or something like that, actually will find your blog, Then they see that you have suggested one particular product from Amazon, then they click on it, and that's how the sale happens. So there are a lot of factors involved there. It's not as simple as Google AdSense, but the payout is slightly better than AdSense. As in, Amazon is just one example. There are other different affiliate options as well. We'll dive into that later. Like, for example, there are a lot of affiliate networks like Pepper Jam, Commission Junction. Then there are these individual affiliate programs by hosting companies, by credit card companies, by travel agencies. Many of them have these affiliate incomes. So what usually happens is, if you keep writing about one particular topic, some of these affiliate programs, they will find you. They'll notice that you're writing about these topics and you have certain traffic coming in, certain ranks on Google, and they will approach you saying that, hey, we noticed that you've been writing about such and such articles. We have a particular product to promote. If you promote it through your blog, we will give you X percentage of every sale. And then all you have to do is, they'll give you a unique link. So on that link, if people click through that link, they'll know that these many clicks came from your website or your article, so that you can track it. There'll be a nice dashboard showing how many clicks, how many payments, what is the actual payment, and then how much is your commission. So all that will be shown, and that's how you can make money. So again, like I mentioned, going back to the other point, you have to have an active audience and a very, very super focused target group and content behind it in order to be qualifying to generate income through affiliates. Then the third important way to make money through your blog is through sponsorships. In this, I mean, this is a very, how sponsorships work for, TV and other mediums. Similar thing happened with blogging as well, where if you have an active audience, then some brands will come and tell, hey, can you write about us, or can you put an ad about us on your blog, or can you review our product, or can you send an email to all your audience introducing our product, and we'll pay you this much money for one particular activity. So usually it's like, if you write a 500 words or 1000 words review article about one particular product, they will give you anywhere from like 25,000 rupees to 50,000 rupees, and even sometimes even beyond that, just for one article. But the problem here is that, again, you have to have huge audience. Like, if somebody is actually investing or sponsoring their product on your blog for 50,000 rupees, they need to get the returns out of it, right? So one thing they look for is how many people read your blog, or how many active audience you have. So they might ask you, what is your actual traffic? Where are these people coming from? So you have to go to Google Analytics and find out all this information and give it to them. And only if they approve, they'll do it. And this happens randomly. Usually sponsorship deals happen when they find you, again, like in affiliate income, when they find you through your content on Google or other places. They see that you're writing about this particular content, and they see that you have an active audience. They'll ask you how many audience you have and what is your traffic and everything. And if it matches their criteria, they'll give you an order or a deal, and then it works. I do sometimes sponsorship deals with certain companies. I don't accept everything, because you get a lot of trash. Like, you get people from like shady companies, and products that you don't that it's a stupid product. So you don't want to like piss off your audience by telling that, right? So I don't do that, even if they ask or promise me more money. But if it is a good like a win-win situation, if it's a good fit for your audience, like for example, if it's a um, personal finance blogger that I have, and I get a sponsorship deal from a credit card company or a bank, then it makes sense. But at the same time, it doesn't make sense for me to sponsor a travel company in a personal finance ad. So you have to keep that in mind and make sure that you don't piss off, or you don't make your audience angry, or uh, try to manipulate them in some way. You have to be very authentic and very transparent, and that's what I always do. And try to label out sponsorship deals separately. Like, even in YouTube, if you're doing a sponsorship deal with someone, make sure that you say with a disclaimer that this is a sponsorship deal with such and such company, so that people know that if they're buying that product, it's through such and such arrangements you have with people. So this is just a very, very small brief about how you can make money with blogging, but obviously in Google AdSense, in affiliate marketing, in sponsorship, and there are a couple of other ways as well. In each of these, there are a lot of things you have to learn, and you can't really comprehend all of that in just 1 hour. But I'll do more sessions, maybe next month and next weeks perhaps. And in each of those, I'll go deep diving into one of the topics like Google AdSense alone, so that you will know how to get started, what are the do's and don'ts, what are the things to watch out for, and what are the mistakes you should be making or you could be making, how to avoid them, and all those different things. But essentially, blogging is all about consistency, in my opinion. It's very, very, I mean, I'll be very honest with you, it's very easy to get discouraged when you start blogging, especially if you're putting in some money to buy a domain name or a self-hosting, a hosting product. People usually get discouraged because the first 6 months or the first few months, you won't see much activity. You won't see new, people coming and congratulating you or asking you questions or anything of that sort, and you'll be like very, very discouraged. It happened to me as well. It happens to everyone who starts a blog. But the problem is, the main thing is you have to stay consistent, keep doing what you like to do at whatever frequency you want to. So if you're writing a new blog, write it every week or every day or every month, whatever that is possible, and just keep doing it for whatever, how much ever time you can. And that's why I said, if you choose something that you're really passionate about, you won't really bother about who's reading a blog. You'll just do it because you love that whole idea, like that whole experience of writing and sharing things. You will discover new things about yourself. So keep doing those things. Make sure that whatever you're doing is helpful to someone and it adds value to their lives. So that's what I say, keep doing good things and good things will happen. It's the karma playing back on you, right? If you do good things to others, they will definitely see value and they'll help you back. So that's what happens in blogging as well. It's not a big funda or anything. It's not like you can manipulate people. It's not that you're doing something that's very unique or that's very not many people know about or anything like that. It's a very normal thing. The only thing you're doing is sharing information that is useful for others. And as long as you keep doing it, you will find your tribe, you'll find a community, you'll find your audience, and they will, reward you. The question is, how long can you sustain and how well can you do it? So one thing that I've seen is people who start out with free blogs, or don't invest in a good domain name or anything. Usually they go into that path where they complain about things after a while and then they let go. And that's a very psychological kind of thing. If you put in some money, like even it is $2 or $5 something, you automatically will become serious about it. Maybe because you put in money into it, as opposed to if you're getting doing it for free. At some point of time you'll be like, okay, it's okay if I stop this also, because anyway I didn't put some money into it, right? So I would strongly suggest you put some pressure on yourself. Don't make the mistake of doing it casually as like a hobby thing, just because you have some time or anything like that. Take it seriously. Put a little bit money into it, $1, $2, whatever it is, or start free but be very serious about it. And as long as you keep going and doing the good things will happen back to you, right? So that's what I wanted to share in this webinar. I hope it was useful for you. And if you have any questions, you can always ask me or you can email me. My email is at hi, that is hi@moneykarthik.com. I also have I'm on Instagram and Facebook as well. You can just search for Money Karthik and it should show up. So if you want to DM me, that's fine as well. If you want to email me, that's fine. If you want to call me on WhatsApp, that's fine as well. I'm available on 408-489-4785. I have my numbers on my blog on moneykarthik.com. You can find it there. So I hope all of you who are planning to start blogging, start a blog and do it and become successful. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. But we'll dive deep into some of the topics that I mentioned earlier in the next coming up webinars. Today we're spot on time. It's 10:52, so we have about 8 minutes to go. But unless you have anything, we will be stopping it here. Cool. Talk soon. Bye bye.